guys, just hopping on here tonight. I'm gonna double check that this is the transfer that won the poll this evening, but I'm Suzanne Martin. I am the Chocolate Lady, and I am a independent designer for Chalk Couture. So I'm just gonna pull this up here on my iPad so I can see what you guys are seeing. I'm not real versed in the iPad where buttons are, so I always use my phone or my laptop. I don't use this very often. So let me pull this up here. I'm going to share this on a few pages too, and if you guys wouldn't mind, when you're watching this, if you would like to, I would appreciate it if you would share this on your own pages. That would help me get a little bit more exposure, and exposure in this business helps boost your business. So I would really appreciate if you guys could do that. I am sharing it on some of my other pages here. So I did a poll earlier today and showed two transfers that I have that I thought would be super fun. How do I share that? Post it here. Anyway, and so last I checked, the transfer that won was the vintage truck. So that's the one that I'm going to be doing tonight. So for those of you that don't know, Chalk Couture is a direct sales business that makes reusable vinyl adhesive silkscreen transfers. So they look like this. And Chalk Couture Chalkology paste and Chalk Couture inks. And so the paste is just like a thick chalk paint, and the inks are really smooth textured paint, if you will, that you can make permanent when you heat set. So it's pretty cool that you can do all of those things. And I'm just putting this up here real quick, making sure it's not working very good, sorry. Alright, I want to make sure I get this on my own pages too so everybody can see it. So once I get this all shared, we'll get started. It gives the people a chance to pop on here too if they want to see what I'm up to tonight. Let's see. All right, I think it looks good. Awesome. Hi, Mom. Okay, so I'm gonna get started here, and then we can just, people can pop on whenever they want to and watch replays later on. This is one of our new couture boards. Let me turn this down, sorry guys. The volume is distracting me. There we go. Okay, so this is one of our new couture boards. This one is a less expensive version of other boards that we have. It's non-magnetic. It is really, really good to work with. You could chalk the back if you want, and you can do the front, and it already comes with the brackets on here for hanging either way. So I'm doing the project upside down tonight, so I want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly so that it'll hang like this. So I'll do it so you guys can see the image. And I'm using a couple of our stuff tonight. So before you get started on a project with Chalk Couture, there's a few things that you need to have on hand. First off is a color that you're going to use. Not all of our transfers take more than one color or you would want to use more than one color on. Tonight I'm going to be using 3. I'm going to be using our newest color, Peacock, which is my absolute favorite color. It is so pretty. You guys will see that in just a little bit. I'm using our white paste. I probably should turn it like this so you can see the colors. And then I'm using an ink. Now I don't typically mix inks and chalks in the same project, but I want the tires or the hubcaps on my truck to pop a little bit, so I thought this would be a cool way to do that. It gives it a different texture. That's why I typically don't put them together. It appears more glossy, the ink does, and you get a matte finish with the chalk paste. And then you'll also need a squeegee. This is our small squeegee. These are the older versions of it. The newer versions are shaped this way. They're a little easier to hold, and they're only this wide as opposed to being this wide. But I'm going to be using this one tonight. We also have an angled squeegee that you can purchase that has different sizes of angles on it to use for different size projects. And I have a few small pieces here where I've cut one of the small squeegees apart to use different size for different projects. So tonight we're going to be using one of these little bitty ones, and we are going to be using these 2 larger sized ones. So these are the squeegees. You need a color, paste or ink, you need a squeegee, you need a surface. You can use surfaces from other places, that's fine, but the Chalkology or chalk paste and chalk inks are made specifically to work well with our surfaces. So you can use them on other surfaces, that's awesome if you want to do that, but just keep in mind that sometimes the paste and the adhesive on the transfers doesn't stick as well on other surfaces as would on our surfaces. So, and I can guarantee the quality of our products as opposed to others that you buy other places. Anyway, so this is one of our newest products too. This is our tape. I won't be using this piece. This is a little piece I had left over from another project that I thought I could reuse for something, and I will at some point, but just not today. So what I'm going to do first here is to help line my project up. Oh, one other thing that you'll need before you get started is a pan of water. I don't think you guys can see this very well, but this is just like a pan that I bought at Dollar Tree in a 2-pack, just a little casserole, disposable casserole pan that I put my water in whenever I'm working on my projects. So I'm going to throw this down here so I can line this up. Actually, I'll throw this up here so I can line it up better. This will help me get it even on my board. Looks pretty even from here to there. I might pull it over just a little bit here. And I'll tear this off. There we go. I got my tape even, my little tick marks here. This is our newest product. It comes up really easily. It's almost like a painter's tape, kind of the way that it pulls up whenever you're ready to not use it anymore. And it tears off easily too. So these come in little tape rolls, and they have the tick marks to help you line your projects up and make them nice and even on the page. I eyeball it a lot of the time, but I'm just going to lay this up here really quick to see how this is going to lay out size-wise. I think I'm going to move it down some. One of the things about our transfers is they typically make the design on the transfer even from top to bottom, or pretty close to. So when you're trying to line things up, that's really helpful, especially side to side, top to bottom, so you can use this edge as a guideline. And the transfers come in a single piece. This is a $14.99 size B transfer. It came in one solid piece like this, and it has a cut line on it. So as long as you're cutting on the cut line, you can be pretty sure that it's going to be even. So this is about where I'm going to put it, pretty even on here. And this truck has this little rail here. I am not adding this into my project. I'm not going to be putting anything in the back of this truck. We have a lot of other transfers that are add-on transfers, where this time of year especially, they have like little wood barrels, and you can put apples or you can put pumpkins in them, and you can do all kinds of things in the back of your truck. Corn stalks for You know, if you're doing like corn maze kind of stuff or anything like that. Very fall, very awesome. And then each season they come out with a new add-on pack to be appropriate for the season. So Easter time you'll have little bunnies and eggs, and then in the summertime you have like canoes and different things that you would do outdoorsy kind of sports stuff. So, and this one, in case I didn't say it out loud, is the vintage truck. So I will be fuzzing my transfers on this tonight. So what you do before you use our transfers is you fuzz it first. So this is the piece I'll be using, and I think I'll just lay this down here to help me get it lined up where I want it better. So you fuzz your transfer. You literally lay it down on a towel or a piece of fabric. A lot of people use their clothing. I've used my pants several times, jeans and things like that. This particular thing I'm laying it on doesn't seem to have a lot of fuzz on it, so I'm going to use my pant leg real quick. You're picking up fuzz on the adhesive so that your transfer won't stick really hard to your surface. Whenever that happens, if you try to pull it up, you could stretch it, then it won't lay right the next time you want to use it, and it's very frustrating. You can get bubbles in your projects, and it doesn't ruin your project by any means, but it just doesn't make it look as smooth as I would like it to look anyway. All right. So this transfer comes in 2 pieces. And that looks about where I want it. So you would lay this piece down first. I can already see it's going to have a little bubble in it. A lot of times when you're doing a piece that has a long, solid silk screen on it, if you smooth it down from side to side like this first, you guarantee that you don't get bubbles in your silk screen. They're hard to see if you have a bubble in your silk screen. So what I'm doing now is I'm just sealing the adhesive that's on the back of this around the edge of the design really well, so that, oh, looks like it's still got a little bubble in it here. Just so that it doesn't bleed around the edges. Okay. Now I'm using the Peacock on the bottom part of this, and I'm using the silver ink right in this area here. So I'm going to do the ink first. It doesn't dry as quickly as the paste does, so it makes sense to use the ink first so that then I can use the paste and don't have to worry about the ink drying. So you put a little bit of your color on your squeegee, and you literally just put it on here, making sure that it gets inside the silk screen really well. And you can tell if it's in the silk screen or not. It'll be a lighter shade if it's not. I mean a darker shade if it's not. And then I have plenty of it on here. Don't worry about getting too much on your squeegee. You never need to worry about that. You're going to scrape off any extra that you don't use, so you save so much of it. You literally use such a small amount on this for your projects. And so like I said, I want the silver to show up really good on this, so I'm going to put it on here a little bit thicker. And then I scrape it off and put it back into my container to use the next time. There we go. And that is how you use all of our chalks and inks the same way. You use the squeegee, you put it on, you wipe it off. I'm going to close this up so it doesn't start to dry out some while I'm using the other color here. So this one I'm going to do with our small squeegee. I need to give this one a stir. I used it the other day, so it's still a nice consistency, but I do have a water bottle beside me. It's not necessary to have, but it's helpful to have with you, as well as paper towels, because sometimes you get it on your fingers and sometimes you need to wipe off a squeegee to reuse again. So once again, I'm just getting some of this color on here. I know I'm going to need a lot because this is a lot of space to cover. And I'm just going to smooth on my color, make sure that it gets in the silk screen really good. I'm trying to steer clear of the silver that I've got on here so I don't mix my shades in my picture. Now sometimes I do that on purpose and use it like an ombre, and it's one of my favorite ways to do it. But for now, I don't want to do that on this project. And I'm just making sure that it's getting in the silk screen really good here. And then I'm going to pull the transfer after I wipe off the extra paste. This is how easy it is to make projects look really neat with Chalk Couture products. I sealed the adhesive well with my finger around the edges, so I don't have to worry about that bleeding. Just wiping this off, the extra. There we go. Put my squeegee in my water and pull my transfer. You always pull from side to side or top to bottom. It's best not to pull at an angle. You might stretch your transfer and then you'll get into the same issue as I was talking about before. With it not laying right the next time you want to use it. That's just super frustrating when that happens. All right, so that's the first part. And because this needs to dry and it'll take longer if I just wait, I'll have to talk the whole time, I'm just going to use a quick hair dryer here to make sure that it dries these off really good. And then we are going to lay our second part of the transfer down. So I'm going to put this on cool air. I don't want to get the board hot. It's unnecessary to do that. So the paste dries quickly, but the ink takes a little longer. You can tell when the paste is dry because the appearance is not glossy at all. With the hair dryer, it'll only take a minute or so for the paste to dry, but it'll take a little bit longer for the ink to dry. Turning the heat on the ink so it'll dry better. It heat sets, so it's helpful to use heat on the ink. So look at how well that's popping off today. And this peacock color is so great. I love using the peacock color. Cover this so it doesn't start to dry out. Hi, Tara. I'm going to blast it with cool air real quick just to make sure the surface isn't hot. Do it. So I can tell that this is dry just by the appearance of it, and you can see here I can rub my hand over this. It does not bleed. That's a little tacky still, but I think it'll be just fine. So the next piece I'm doing here is the top part of this transfer, this vintage track. I have had this for well over a month and have never used it. I don't know, I've just been so distracted by other projects. So I'm just peeling this off the backer, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but these backer sheets, one side is super glossy and the other side is more of a matte finish. I haven't marked these yet, but I'm going to right now. I'm just going to put a little check mark back here that lets me know that's the back of the transfer, so I don't accidentally lay my transfer, the sticky part, back on this. It doesn't peel off very well. I accidentally did that on a very small piece, and it started to take the back off. So you always need to put it back on your glossy side whenever you're done. Now I'm fuzzing this piece of the transfer here, and yeah, that's just not very fuzzy. I'll have to remember not to use these next time. I thought it'd be a good idea because I love the pattern, but it's actually a placemat, so it's not actually very fuzzy to start with. So I'm going to fuzz this on my pants. And I see a lot of people use their jeans. I used a pair of black yoga pants one time and had so much black fuzz floating in my water, I had to change my water before I used any other transfers. It was funny. Oh, and when I lay my transfer down in my water, the reason I do this is to soak the color off of it a little bit. You always put it sticky side up so you can layer several layers of transfers in your water. As long as they're all sticky side up, the water acts as a barrier between them so they don't stick together. Because you have to be careful not to get your pieces stuck together. They don't come apart very easily. So now I'm going to lay this one down here. And it's pretty easy to line up. It's supposed to, some of the color is supposed to show through. I think I'm going to line the tigers. There we go. So I'm just using one other color with this, and it's all going to be the white color over this. And since this doesn't have the large silkscreen area like our last one did, I can smooth it down the way that I just did. I don't have to start at one side and go all the way across that way. I'm going to tell you guys, because I used ink on here, there is a possibility that the sticky part right here might peel some of the ink up because it's not 100% dry. That's not a big deal. I can go back in later and redo that part, no problem. Just layer the other piece back on after I wash it off and redo that, and it'll cover it right up again. Then I can let it dry and do another time. But since I'm doing it in front of you guys, I'm trying to move along a little bit faster. So the next step here is for me to add, I'm just doing white. The whole rest of this is going to be white. When I was a kid, my grandparents had a truck. My dad said it was a 73 Chevy, and it was a two-tone truck, and it had a teal, it wasn't this dark of a teal, but it had a teal color and a white color. And it used to belong to my mom and dad, and they had given it to them to use. So as a kid, we used to get to ride around in that truck all the time, and I always loved it. So when this vintage truck transfer came out, I was super excited because I already knew I was going to use teal and white for sure. But then the Peacock color came out, and it's close enough, so I really like that one. So I do the same thing here. I'm just going to get my white color out with this here, if I can. I'm running low on my white. It's in my next order. And then I'm going to slap it down. I know I'm going to be using a lot, so this is kind of a dry piece here. I'll put it back in there for later. I know I'm going to be using a lot, so it's cool for me to just stack it on here however I want. And since I'm going over the whole thing in white, it doesn't matter. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just need to make sure it gets in the entire thing here. And you all can probably tell where it's in the silk screen or not. I know on the video you don't get a really great idea of the details of the color and all of that, but you can tell where it's lighter and darker. And while I'm doing this, I can talk to you guys a little bit. If you schedule a Facebook party with me, one of the things that I'm doing now, which I think is super fun, is offering to make a live project that you choose, a B-size transfer, and give that to you as a hostess gift for hosting a party for me. So it's super fun to make stuff, and I make what you want live, and then your friends get to see it. Not only do they get to see it on here, they actually get to see it in your home afterward, and that's really fun too. And so anyway, if you're interested in hosting a Facebook party for me, all it requires you to do is invite your friends and comment on the posts that I make for your party. I set up an event page that's just specific to you and your friends. and you comment on that, you invite your friends, they make purchases, and you get Chalk Couture products based on the sales. Alright, my paste is a little thick, but that's okay. Let me use this side here. There we go. I think it's starting to dry. If it dries on your silk screen, it'll stick to the screen and not come up so easily. So you don't want it to dry on there, but once again, you can always lay your transfer back down and try it again. Yeah, it's a little bit dried over here. See if I can get it to come out better. There we go. So if it doesn't come off completely, it looks like it's not going to come off on the teal so great. Plus the white doesn't show up on the dark colors as great. So I'll have to go back over that part again. And because I don't want this part in, I will just wipe it off. I wanted to show you guys how easy it is to clean it off. That's one of the great things about this chalk paste, is it will wipe off of your surfaces. So if you love this chalkboard and you like doing this transfer, you can leave it that way for a little while. Say I did this and I wanted to put some pumpkins in the back of here for fall, but then it didn't make sense to leave that for Christmas. I could wipe off the pumpkins and then come back in with some Christmas trees, which we also have as part of our transfer. But you see, I can just wipe this off and not have that as part of my picture. And I just put a little bit of water on this and it's coming right off. And so you could reuse the same surface with tons of different transfers. You can make it seasonal. You could just change it out because you get tired of it. I've got some stuff up that I'll probably leave up for, 4 or 5 months, and then I'll switch it out and make something new. And it did peel up a little bit of my ink over here. I thought that it might, just because I was trying to rush through it. But you guys get the idea of how cute this is. And when I come back in, I'm not sure if you can see. Let me finish wiping this off and I'll show you guys the lines that it made in the Peacock that I will come back in and redefine. And all you have to do for that, and I can do that live here, is as soon as this dries, is clean that transfer off real quick and then come back in. And wipe it off, let it dry a little bit, and then put it right back down where it was. And I can add the extra color. Because like I said, I've done this before with white over red, and because the color's so pigmented, the white just didn't really show up so great till I went over it a second time. And it really seemed to help. So anyway, you just take a little water, you wipe off what you don't want, and you keep the rest. I'm just trying to be super careful because I don't want to brush up against the edge of my truck line. And what I've done in the past too is used a toothpick on a wet paper towel to get real close to the edges of lines that I didn't want to disturb. But in this particular case, I'll just use my fingernail on my paper towel. So anyway, that's how quick it is to wipe it off. Little cleanup here. And I can get the edge a little cleaner on that later on. So if I'm going to redo this transfer, I would want to take my thumb in here. I don't know if you guys can see any of this. And just wipe off the extra paste with my thumbs. And once it is wiped off completely, I take a paper towel and get off any extra, lay it on my towel and take a paper towel and wipe off any extra that didn't come off in the water. Let it dry a little bit and then lay it right back down. And I'll do that now so you guys can see how to do this. This transfer piece is a little bit bigger than my pan, which is not a big deal. I actually think next time I'm going to go buy the larger size pan, just so that my even larger transfers will fit on them. Because I use these pans all the time. I've doubled mine over actually just to make it a little more sturdy because the water can make it a little heavy. So like I said, I'm cleaning this off with my thumbs. And then I'm gonna dry it off and then lay it back down and finish this design. And then you guys can see it all done. All right, getting the rest of this paste off of here. I'm gonna get a clean paper towel over here. This is why you keep paper towels handy, because you'll be using them a lot when you do these kind of projects. And just wiping off any extra paste that didn't come off and simultaneously drying this. And because I'm gonna be putting this over top of my other color, I'm gonna make sure that I dry the back of it real good, the adhesive part. And then I'm gonna re-fuzz it on my pants to pick up fuzz on the sticky, because you can see it's sticky, it's sticking to my fingers pretty bad. And when I'm wiping it off like this, it's actually wiping off the fuzz that keeps it from sticking so hard. So I'm going to stick this to the edge of my table. I'm going to use this to make sure that my white paste is dry before we move to the next step. And I'll blow this real quick just to make sure the silk screen dries. It's on cool. I wouldn't do this on hot on the transfer. It would mess up the adhesive, I think. That's probably good. Now, like I said, I'm going to pick up a little extra fuzz off my pants just to keep it from sticking so hard, because this adhesive, that's why you're able to use these transfers so many times, is because it has such a great adhesive on it. And if you're taking care of your transfer well, you can use it 8 to 12 times and sometimes more. And taking care of it means that you put it in the water right after you use it, that you clean it off well, and then whenever you're finished, you use a Clorox wipe or a cleaning wipe of some kind to clean the fuzz off of the back so you can continue to use the adhesive part over and over and over again. So I'm just going to lay this back down here. Try to get it as even as I can back onto the design where it was. Let's see, it's sticking to my fingers. Sometimes it can be hard to line up just for that very reason. This is such a fun company to work with. First off, their customer service is outstanding, like super impressive. And their products are really fun to use. Like, I have a lot of fun making stuff with this. Make things as gifts and make things to keep. I'm gonna thin this down just a little bit. That's why I have the water bottle handy. Give this a stir. Get that piece out of there. Like I said, I'm running low on my white ink, or white paste. I'm gonna have to throw some in my next order. The cool thing is too, the colors that you would use a lot of, gray, black, and white, now come in these giant containers. So I'm definitely getting the big containers of this, for real. Okay, ready to go with this. Because I'm just doing it on the teal parts now, I think that I'm going to just use my smaller squeegee here to make sure it gets in those areas where it didn't seem to cover it last time. And I'm just smearing this on wherever I want it to go. You get more, you're going to wipe off the extra, so like I said, it doesn't matter if you use too much, you're going to clear it off. Remember not to go up too high because I didn't want to cover the whole deal. as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to peel it, and it should be finished after that. Like I said, I might have to even do a third layer. You wouldn't typically have to do this, but I'm using white over dark colors that are heavily pigmented, so sometimes it doesn't cover as well as you'd like it to. Cool. I'm going to wipe the extra off real quick and give this a pull, and we should be good. There we go. Now the white's popping a lot better. Looks like a couple places it still didn't get super great, but I actually like that. It's a vintage truck. It's supposed to look vintage. And it peeled up a little there, but that's not a big deal either. So this is what it is. This is a double layer vintage truck design from Chalk Couture. I'll pull this off here. There we go. And I could put some words up here if I wanted to. We have lots of farm transfers. We have lots of vintage looking transfers that would be super great with this project. Oh, I think it looks so great. I can't wait to use, oh, you guys are getting like a heavy glare here. Let me see if I can. I have to use a light. There we go. That's a better look, I think. I have to use a light to show up. My lighting in this room is like really yellow, plus the walls are like that orangey color, like so it makes me and my projects look super orange. So I'm using a ring light to add the light here, but it adds a glare. So this is what it looks like whenever you make this and it's all finished. This is the vintage truck transfer, and like I said, you can add things to the back of the truck, pumpkins and apples and corn stalks and all kinds of cool things back here for fall. You can switch it out for the different seasons. There's Christmas trees and things to use for Christmas season, winter, and then you have lots of like hearts and Easter eggs and things for when you get closer to spring. And it's just, they just have add-on packages for every season. So you can use this vintage truck for like every season. It's really, really cute. So thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you are looking to sign up for Chalk Couture, please send me a message, and I would love to talk with you about that. And if you'd like to purchase any supplies for your Chalk Couture stuff, you can send me a message and I can help you make sure that you're getting everything that you need for that as well. I'll also post my link on this post so that you guys can jump over there and kind of check out what other stuff that we have. Thank you so much.